everybody's very familiar now with filling out forms on the computer, interacting with a mouse or a touchpad, dropping down pick lists and selecting something to pick list. I'd like to show you how to create drop-down pick lists in Excel. So let's get started. This is a pick list that we're going to use for my second example problem here. And here's what I'd like to try to accomplish. One is, in general, what's a user tool, and who is the customer for a user tool that you might want to create? And of course, my interest is in showing you how to create a user tool in Excel. I'd like to cover, and I think I'm going to blaze through them, but I think you're going to be able to stick with it, 2 demo examples. The first one is an ideal gas system calculator. It'll be a user tool, a very simple one, that might relate to your thermodynamics class. And I'm going to use that simple example to show you how to use what's called data validation in Excel to create a drop-down pick list. And then for those of you who are not in thermodynamics class, but interested in user tools and or drop-down pick lists, I've got another example illustrating how would you create a tool for yourself or others, a user tool in which the person could cobble together a bill of materials and quickly determine the cost of a project that we envision in our minds. So a few words about a user tool in general. I've made a screenshot of a user. Let's look at the date. So like my usual style, you can see that I've named my Excel file when I started it, 1998, before many of you were born. I see that I updated it in 2000, okay? And then a little more updating, cleaning it up, making it a little prettier in 2023. And what else did I do? So this has to do with calculating the pressure drop in a pipe. And in fact, I've mentioned my reference, so I've called out my reference for the some of the computations that I'm using here. So can you see quickly, how would the user, who was me and or my coworkers at work, does it jump out at you how this user tool might be used? You see the yellow cells, that's where the user, often me, was manually entering numbers for a very typical pipe flow situation. Okay, and so it's very clear where the numbers are entered along with units. And you see I boxed it out, so that's sort of my input data box. And the output data, I've boxed it out. And without going through all the details of what do we do with these inputs, I calculate a Reynolds number. You'll learn that that's very important in characterizing the flow. And then I calculate some other important things that enables us to calculate the pressure loss in the pipe, depending on the flow and the pipe size. I used this thing dozens and dozens of times at work, and I was able to share this work with other engineers at work who had to do similar calculations so that I didn't have to do the work for them. I could just give them this user tool, and they were free to go on their own to calculate their own pressure drop. So the question is, who is the customer for a user tool? Well, it can be you, the author of the user tool, and certainly it can be others, people that you work with or you share your tool with. Okay, so that's the idea of a user tool created in Excel. Okay, so here's the demo project I'd like to try to cobble up live. I want to create a user tool that determines the mass of a closed system that contains an ideal gas with the pressure, volume, and temperature defined. Okay. Now, here's the trick. An awful lot of people, including myself, haven't memorized all of the molecular weights of lots and lots of ideal gases. I've got a few in my head, but not all of them. So most people don't know the molecular weight of many commonly analyzed ideal gases. So here's the project. To get this thing done, I want to select from a pick list of ideal gases, a drop-down pick list, and you know what we're going to do once we select that gas. Then we're going to the user will define the pressure, volume, and temperature of the closed system, And with those pieces of information, I think you're going to see, I see how to determine the mass of the ideal gas contained in the closed system with that information known. Pretty easy to understand. Okay, I have done a little homework. So let's talk about the solution approach for creating this tool. I have already, to save time, because we're already 5 minutes into this video, I've created a table. And this is going to be our pick list here, a table of ideal gases that we use frequently in thermodynamics class. Okay, so you see they're just English words. I've also decided to tabulate against these English words the chemical formula for those, as well as the molecular weight. I just got this stuff out of the back of the book. Okay, so anyway, I have this table already in Excel. All right. Once the user picks, let's say, oxygen, okay, we're going to be able to look up O2. We kind of know that, and a reminder of the molecular weight. Once we've got the molecular weight, well, how do we solve the problem? We determine R, which is R bar over the molecular weight. That makes that easy. R, gas constant, easy. The user will define pressure, volume, and temperature. We'll get the units straight for all of those. And then we'll use the ideal gas equation of state to determine the mass. Mass is equal to PV divided by RT. So the very simple user tool, but I think it's just a good starting point so you can learn how to use a drop-down pick list, how to deal with looking up. Once you've selected, let's say, oxygen, going to show you how to look up O2 and look up 32 for the molecular weight. Here's a screenshot of what I'm going to show you how to do live. We're 7 minutes into the video, but let's look at the screenshot. You may want to go back to the video to look at this when you try it your first time out. We're going to select a cell where we want to create the drop-down pick list. Then we're going to click this Data tab in Excel. And once we've clicked that Data tab, we're going to find the Data Validation menu. And when we click on that, this window is going to open up. And for the settings, what we're going to do, you're going to pick a number of potential things. What we want to do is pick from a list. Pick from a list. So you're going to select that. And then you're going to select the range, the source range. So we will pick that little vector. We're going to pick that vector of oxygen, helium, nitrogen, air, et cetera, et cetera. Click OK. And boom, the pick list is created for us. Pretty cool. Okay. Before we go live, let me try to see. I hope I can remember my steps here now. We're going to plan the overall user tool layout. We're going to plan that first. What would our user tool look like? Thinking about our customer, who is others, or it might even be us 6 months from now or 2 weeks from now. Okay. We're then going to prepare the pick list and associated lookup columns. Okay. We'll set up the drop-down pick list. We're going to get the lookup values. In other words, once the user has selected, let's say, oxygen, going to show you how to look up the molecular weight, 32, and the fact that oxygen is O2. And then finally, we'll do the math in Excel and check for beauty, check for, is it pretty? And we're going to be done. Okay, so this is my signal to go live. So wish me luck. All right, so I'm going to go into Excel. Okay, whoops, and I was hoping to, so let's see. I have already loaded in pick list demo. So let's look real quickly. What do we have? We've got a file that I've done some pre-work in, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4 tabs. Sheet 1, let's delete that. We don't need sheet 1. All right. And now I'm looking at second problem. So I'm jumping around a little bit. You just have to excuse me. Here's some pre-work that I did. I went to the back of the book and I copied and pasted some selected ideal gases. And notice here in this tab, I've got an assigned tab called molecular weights. It's a worksheet of molecular weights. And the only thing that's contained in this tab is my little lookup table. Ideal gas, this is what we're going to set up our pick list with. The chemical formula, okay, and the molecular weight. So I've gotten that from a previous source, the textbook. Another thing I've done looking forward is that let's say that you want to add, so you or somebody else wants to add some ideal gases to this list, like, I don't know, neon. Okay. I could type in neon. Let's see, the chemical formula is Ne, and I cannot remember the molecular weight of neon. So I'm going to have to leave that as, let's put in unknown. Okay, so there we go. I'll have to look that up later and fat finger that in later. But you get the idea. I've got a tab that is my source table. Now let's go to another tab to the left. It says ideal gas calculator. That's going to be our user tool. And to save time, I have fleshed out what we're going to do. All right, so maybe we can look. You see, I've titled the tab Ideal Gas Calculator. I have named the file Pick List Demo by me, tab Ideal Gas Calculator. I've tried to give a little bit of an idea of what's going on here. Pick an ideal gas, closed system. The objective is to determine the mass for any P, V, and T. And I'm even putting the ideal gas equation of state in there. It's just sort of pre-work. Now let's create our pick list. And so I've titled what we want to do, substance. This is what we're going to do, the pick list. So you're going to have to, I've got to move my zoom menu. I'm going to click on this cell, A8. Now for a pick list, I'm going to click the data tab. I'm going to drop down data validation. This window opens up, and now, right now it says allow any value. No, we want to pick from a list. So I'm going to drop down these. I want to pick from a list. I'm going to click list. Next, I'm going to click the source. So just click in this window, and we're going to define the source. So all we have to do is go to molecular weights tab, and we're going to light up the cells that we want to allow the user to pick from. So I'm going to light up, it says 17 rows and 1 column. Okay, do you see how it filled that out? Okay, and then I'm going to click, so A2 to A18, those $signs are for absolute references. So you're always looking at A2 to A18 in the molecular weights tab. I'm going to click OK. Okay, it's done. Now let's see what we got. All of a sudden now, if I click away, okay, there's nothing there. If I click on cell A8, look at that little drop down. So let me hit the drop down. And let me pick a long name, carbon dioxide. Okay, now that's ugly, isn't it? All it says is carbon. Okay, so I'm going to click away. I need to increase the column width so all of my selections go. So let's do it again. Let's pick something else. Okay. And let's pick nitrogen. Okay, now, to be consistent with the way I do my work, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and I'm going to turn that cell yellow and box it out. Okay, because that suggests that that's a manual input. So a person could type in the word oxygen and get away with it, but the cool thing is the user is prompted with this little drop down to drop down the box, and I'm in text. You see, I'm saying user select from drop down pick list, and you select anything you want. And in fact, you can also pick spare. You're not going to get any results, but you can pick spare. Okay, so let's go back. Let's say we've got oxygen. Okay, I've made myself some notes in these next cells to try to show you what we're doing. What ultimately we want to do is we want to have the chemical formula. We want to look up the chemical formula, and we look up the molecular weight. But I want to show you step by step how to determine how to get those rather than jumping right into it. The first thing we're going to use is the Excel function match. Okay. What we want to do is match. We want to determine what row the word oxygen is in over in that molecular weights tab. So I'm going to type a formula, equals match. Just type out match, parentheses. What lookup value? Well, I'm going to click cell A8. That's what we want to look up. And then comma. and it says, what lookup array do you want me to look in? So I'm going to click molecular weights. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click the entire A column and hit enter. Oh, no, whoops. I'm going to hit comma. Excuse me. And I've got to type in match type. This is text. So we have to have an exact match. We can't have something that's less than oxygen or greater than oxygen. They're just words. So we've got to type in the number 0 and close parentheses. 0 means exact match. Okay. And so what's returned in this little demo, and I'm going to say demo match. Okay. So at least we know that the word oxygen appeared in the 4th row. So let's go verify that we got that. 4th row. Yeah, there it is. 4th row. Got it. Okay. The next thing I want to do is demo chemical formula lookup. Okay. I want to show you how to look up the chemical formula in the 4th row. So we're going to use index for that. Equals index. Okay, now it's prompting me, what array do you want me to look in? Well, I'm going to click on molecular weights and column B. I'm just going to click column B and then a comma. And now it says, what row number do you want me to use? So I'm going to go back and I have already identified row 4. So I'm just going to click this cell and close parentheses. And the chemical formula lookup is O2. All right. So these are just demos, because next what I want to do is show you how to do this in one fell swoop, in one kind of multi-formula. How will we look up the chemical formula? So we're going to say equals, well, index, the chemical formula column. The array that we want to look up is this one, comma. Now, we don't know what row it is. I don't want to go back and click on this. I want to do this in one fell swoop. Okay. And so what I want to do is hit column, comma, row number. The row number. So we got to figure out a formula for the row number. And that is, it's the match. So I'm going to type in the word match. Now, what lookup value do you want me to match? Match oxygen, okay? And what lookup array should I look for the word oxygen? And that, back to molecular weights, it's column A. And I want it to be an exact match, so I'm going to hit comma, 0, close parentheses. It says it's found an error, okay? What I didn't do was I didn't close my parentheses twice up here. That's why it gave me an error, and it fixed it for me, okay? And so here you see, I'm going to box this out. The chemical formula is O2. So this enables me, and so I'm going to center these, and I'm going to leave the little demos in case you want to. Now, the molecular weight, how will we get the molecular weight? It's a repeat, and hopefully I can do the same thing for repetition to show you. I want to create one formula in one fell swoop to look up the molecular weight associated with oxygen, okay? Equals index. Index of what? Well, what array? That's going to be over in the molecular weights column. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to click column C, comma. Okay. Now it's going to say, what row? What row? Well, the row that I need is going to be, we got to find a match. Okay. It's going to be match. What lookup value? I'm going to click this cell, A8, oxygen. In what array? It's going to be over in molecular weights in column A, and it's got to be an exact match. And I'm going to remember to close my parentheses to match my parentheses. Molecular weight is 32. Wow, that's right, isn't it? The molecular weight of oxygen is 32. So, okay, so we're making progress. What's R bar in SI? 8.314. 28.314 kilojoules per kilomole degree K. I just typed that in, so we don't want the user to have to type that in. Let's just turn it yellow, and we've got it. So what's R? R is R bar over the molecular weight. It's just a simple formula. R bar over molecular weight. There it is, cell A12. There is the gas constant. It does make sense as we're going along. It makes sense to pretty up our number format. Number, and let's make it, well, let's say 4 points to the right, okay? Pressure in KPA. Well, let's say good old 101. That's like atmospheric pressure. A volume. Let's say 2.5 cubic meters. Be like a big refrigerator. Temperature. So do you see how I'm turning these yellow? Temperatures, degrees C. Let's make it 25 degrees C, kind of like regular ambient temperature. Now, temperature. We need absolute temperature to get our ideal gas relation right, don't we? Simple formula, right? Equals whatever that is in degrees C plus 273. 298, we'll box that out. And look at that, we're about at near the end. The mass equals PV over RT, simple equation, equals P times V over the quantity, R, there's the cell, times the absolute temperature, cell A20, close parentheses. The mass is all of that. Let's see, let's box it out. And look, let's come up with a good number. Maybe, let's say 3 points to the right here, okay? And it looks like I need to make that font size 12. So there is our file save. I'm going to go up here, file save, because we've made a lot of progress. Wow, I've been 22 minutes. So 22 minutes, let's recap what I did, and I think it might make sense to do the second example in a subsequent video. So that way we can sort of reprise what we did. All right. We've got a single user tool here on the first tab, ideal gas calculator. We've turned yellow the things that, and so let's see what we've got here. Let's take it out for a test ride. Let's say, no, how about not oxygen, air? So I just picked air. The molecular weight is 28.97. For the same pressure, volume, and temperature, 2.9 kilograms. Okay. How about hydrogen? Okay, molecular weight 2. Wow. For the same pressure, volume, and temperature, the mass is only 0.204. Does that make sense? Oh, yeah. Hydrogen is a much lighter gas than is air. And so I hope I can demonstrate here then. So here's air. The chemical makeup of air is 1 mole of oxygen and 3.76 moles of nitrogen. And so the molecular weight's 28.97. But you get the idea, okay, is that we've created a user tool for anybody to use if you can help them get up to speed with the ideal gas equation of state. I'll hit file save again. Let's see, let me go back to PowerPoint. In order to keep this timing down low, let's see where we're at. And I'm going to switch gears and go to another video. We went live. Okay. This is going to be my second project that I'll talk about later. For those folks that are not taking thermo, you might say, well, I'm not sure this user tool stuff is doing me any good. How about something where you want to create a user tool that enables yourself or others to create a bill of materials where you identify, where you select, the user selects materials from a drop-down pick list. And let's say you want to put together a deck and figure out how much it costs. You've got pick lists. You're going to put in how many of each of these you want, and the user tool is going to calculate up and then give you a grand total of the cost of your project. And so this would be another example where anybody could use a user tool to build up a bill of materials that's kind of automated. And again, imagine out in the work world where you work year in and year out and you're working on multiple projects and you're trying to come up with various bills of material for different projects that you're responsible for. I think I'm going to try to cover that in another PowerPoint. And so to kind of finish up here, what are the takeaways? I hope I've illustrated the power of a possible Excel user tool. And the question is, what are your ideas? So don't suggest that these user tools are only for ideal gas equation of state or bills of materials. The idea is for you to figure out how to use drop-down pick lists and then use the lookup functions, index and match to sort of flesh out your own ideas. Okay, so how did we create a drop-down pick list? We used data validation and list to create a drop-down box. Okay, we used match and index for the table relationships. And then my suggestion, of course, is look, the sky is the limit. So the idea is to give you ideas on how to use Excel with some of these basic tools to start with your own ideas. And let's see, I've got to figure out how to stop sharing. Whew, there we go. And so instead of, we've got 26 minutes in this video. And so instead of going on and on and on about that bill of materials, I think it makes some sense to start up another video for the second problem. So I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of it. So remember, for a drop-down pick list in Excel, data validation, list. That's all you got to remember.